Good Friday evening, everybody. It is May 31st, 2024, here at PreciseAlgorithmTrading.com. And we had an interesting day in the markets today. It's the end of the month. Kind of thought we might get a pop. I was kind of expecting it next week, but we got it today. So let's first talk about our automated trading. So this is our Dow futures. And we got a pop here as well. So today's trades are here, and it's like I say, a decent little recovery. Not there yet. The Russell did not trade today. It just didn't trigger. So this is yesterday's. The Nasdaq popped nicely. Hopefully this is the bottom of this series, like one of these, and we're just going to go up from here, like we have to make this whole upwardly sloping equity curve. And our trades today were pretty decent. A few stop outs, but some great other trades, really. And our old system, the NASDAQ, also popped today. And it's similar but bigger stop losses. So, like I say, similar. Well, it had a couple of better trades, really. So, it actually moved a little bit more than the other one, but like I say, the other one just doesn't pull back as much. So, we'll keep evaluating them both for a bit. And let's talk about the markets in general. So, this is a big candle. I'm not sure I'm going to call it done yet, but that is one of the wicks that I was talking about. We got a wick on the S&P 500 lower tails, and quite a solid move. I don't know what the news was or the catalyst that went with it. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. But because, like I say, we were looking for this wick, we've got now a positive momentum going on the hourly chart that could easily pull back here a little bit without giving that up. And the we actually still have positive momentum on the daily chart, um, that has been going down. So this could just turn right around and stay positive above zero. Or I should say it's negative momentum above zero. This could turn around and be positive momentum above zero again. So that's the S&P, which went up today 0.8%. This is the Russell. Again, we got tails, and we went from red to gray now. So our moving averages aren't quite bullish. What did the other one do here? So we're back to green on the S&P 500. So the Russell, we actually went negative momentum, and we turned around. We're positive momentum on the hourly chart, negative momentum on the daily chart. That's actually still not really turned around to go positive. So this is, I'm not going to call it suspect. I just think we're going to get some chop for a few days. And the fact that this went into a squeeze, which is what that little green dot is, and actually some uh, strategies or indicators are actually, instead of like being a squeeze indicator or a momentum indicator, they call it a chop indicator. And that's an indication of being in chop. So when you get in chop, you're just really in sideways. That's when the Bollinger Bands come inside the Keltner channels for what it's worth, and that means your price is probably going to move inside of a range for a bit before it can break out of a range one way or the other. And what's the good news is we've got some momentum indicators that can kind of help us with the direction that it's going to break out in, and we've got the moving averages that will also support that. You can't have an uptrend without the moving averages ultimately going up together, and you can't have a downtrend without the moving averages ultimately going down together. You can't do it. It's mathematical. So, All right, that was the Russell. Looking for some other clues. The Dow today went up. So anyway, the Russell went up. Let's say that it went up 0.66%. The Dow went up 1.51%. We're back to, not on the futures, but on the actual Dow, we're up to back to 38,686. The futures are a little different. But you can see here, I left this on purpose. Saw this today when I was glancing through charts. This is a downtrend line that's been on here a bit. You can go back and watch the last, I don't know, week or two, maybe even a few weeks worth of videos. That trend line's been on there. Yeah, I think I put it on there on 314. It looks like, but I didn't. I didn't extend it when I drew it originally, and right now I didn't extend it either. But I wanted to show you that if you did extend it, that's where the bounce is happening, right here at this trend line. These trend lines matter. It's crazy how they work like that, but you had this confluence of trend line with this Harvard line, which I haven't talked about in a while, um, along with some moving averages down here. So I'm not saying this thing's over yet. We are negative momentum under zero on the Dow, but we are positive momentum over zero on the hourly chart. So that's what we have. The Nasdaq, actually, I think it went down today, but look at that. That's a hammer candle. It's a hammer candle that ended up actually bearish for the day. What's it look like on the, yeah. So that's a hammer candle that for the actual Nasdaq, that's not just the futures, and it's still green, and that's a big deal. But that's a big range, and a little fair warning. Um, I think a lot of people see a hammer, they just automatically jump in and think it's just bullish immediately, and I think the market will pull back and screw with people Monday morning. And then ultimately, I do think this should go positive from here. Uh, some people place candlesticks and hammer candles. If you were going to do that long, you literally have to put your stop underneath the hammer. You could put it elsewhere back here based on the chart patterns and stuff we talk about. But in a lot of cases, the market will literally see a hammer candlestick and knock you out before it goes back in the right direction. So, and it'll literally hit that stop, or it'll take you lower and then bring you back up again. So it's just something. I don't trust candlesticks all by themselves. One of the things I have heard is, if you get a hammer like this, you wait for confirmation, like the price to go back above the high of the hammer before you would think about getting in. I've done a little bit of all of that in 20 years almost of trading, and I don't trade hammer candlesticks by themselves. Just all there is to it. Anyways, so that's the general overall markets. It's relatively looking like we got some kind of reversal going on. I don't think this is going to be a one-day reversal. I think we're going to probably see a series of stuff. There's reason for that. I mean, if you look here at the Dow, or I'm sorry, the Nasdaq over here on the hourly chart, yeah, we have positive momentum under zero by it turning yellow, and we've got a green candlestick again. But that's a big range that we can screw around in a lot and try to knock people out of come Monday morning. So I think we're going to get some back and forth. We are positive momentum above zero and falling. I'm sorry, negative momentum above zero and falling on the daily chart, but it is above zero. And to recap, if this thing goes below zero is when it's got the best shot at eventually really falling over, which is what it did back here, if you follow that logic right there. So if this just screws around with us here in this range and it stays positive and goes back up again, this thing's got a real chance at going up and making new all-time highs again. and we've got the 1618 still looming up there. Speaking of targets like that, let's go look at NVIDIA, because I haven't looked at it in a bit on here. And look at that target that we drew up there. It's been a while, a few, whatever, I don't even know when we drew it. The breakout, I'm guessing, right there when that was happening. We haven't hit it yet, but we are staying in this range, and we're starting to see some chop. I still think we're going to hit it. So these targets just are amazing sometimes how it works. And let's look at oil. So oil is getting ready to either stop me out or prove me right. And we've got positive momentum under zero on the hourly chart. Our stops are below that. So if this just starts to roll up like it looks like it wants to, then this should be fine. But we do have a crossover in chop or in a squeeze on the daily chart. So yeah, all of our signals are proper, all of our stops are proper, but this thing, there's nothing saying it can't stop out. We did break above that trend line though, so it's irritating when it doesn't work exactly like you want to right away. Alright, that's oil. Gold. Negative momentum under zero. Almost done cycling over here on the hourly chart in the same way. And we'll see what happens next. If this thing starts to come back up again, we could see some, basically it could end up being like a ascending triangle pattern. I see possibly popping there, and they typically will go in the direction that they came from. So you kind of get in a consolidation area that could turn into a triangle, and then it was coming in here from a impulse type wave, and then you go through that, and then you could break out in another impulse type wave. So that's something that will, for me, could be tradable here in the near future. Not yet. Oh yeah, let's look at the transportation index. Boy, to zoom out a little bit, we came down to these old, we retested this area, and it looks like it was some sort of support. It's just a matter of what will it hold here, since we did break that level. The path of least resistance, I still think from here is probably lower, but just it's painful because it's going up right now. Coming into these, expect some kind of a rollover in this territory, I would guess. But we do have, we're thinking about rolling back up again, it looks like, on the daily chart. So that's could end up being bullish for markets, and certainly not leading in any way. It's lagging the rest of the markets, but if it goes up, if the rest of the markets go up, this will too. What else do we have? Just for fun, coin did a breakout, it's pulled back here. Negative momentum above zero. The squeeze broke, and we got a whole 3 days out of it, which is unusual. Typically those things will last 6 to 10 bars, and so we'll have to watch that one, but it's fine. And then BITO is actually Bitcoin strategy, not the Bitcoin itself, and it is almost potentially tradable again. So for me anyway. All right, let's buzz through these. Put the markets back up here. So this was turning gray last night, and that was because it was a partially built candle at the time. Everything's back to green again and above the cloud. The VIX got into the upper Bollinger Band. I expected more up there, but then it just totally sank today, which helps lead to a higher market. From the inside out, we were crashing and everything was red. Now we've obviously come back to a lot of green. The question is, are we going to just launch from here? Probably not. We got these can all pull back pretty easily without disrupting the 4-hour time frame. And when you put them all together, it's got negative momentum under zero, but we're getting potentially, if this thing rolls back up again, we could get some signals to show us that maybe, along with the bullish percent indexes, that the storms are over and the skies are clearing. So, all right, last but not least, point and figure charts in stockcharts.com. We'll go look at bullishness versus bearishness in the indexes. So here's the industrials. It tacked on 2 new O's to the downside, went down 5.26%. So today there's 60% of the stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, there's 30 of them, are on a point and figure buy signal. So that's a measure of bullishness in that market. And as of yesterday, it was 65.26% of them. So the NYA went down 0.1% or hardly anything. The transportation index went down 11.11%. I don't know how many stocks are in the transportation index, but as of today, 40% of them are on a point and figure buy signal, which means 60% of them are not. The NASDAQ down 0.98%. The S&P down 2.39%. And tacked on a new O. The S&P 100 tacked on a new O and went down 1.67%. And the NASDAQ 100, wow, still that's down hard too, minus 14.58%. So there's an awful lot of bearishness still under the hood, even though we got that big spark today. So that's going to lead to add to my stance that, it's not going to just be a one-day wonder, and this thing can go, it's going to thrash around for a little bit before we really get a clear upside again, I think. So until next time, have a great weekend. I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later.